last episode brought us into filler episode territory for the season, and that's a little disappointing if I'm being honest. Given how much I praised this season for being closer to Ninjago storytelling in the premiere, I hoped the show would drop the whole concept of filler episodes to focus on a season-long arc. I realize that sounds crazy since a good chunk of Power Rangers episodes are filler, but I've seen enough of those to know that good filler can be great when it contributes to the season's story. This is part of why I was disappointed with the last episode, which said a lot about Zoe and Evil Roxy, but did very little to progress the overall narrative. Granted, I could be sounding the alarms too early on this, since it was the show's first filler episode in a show that's again built on them, but I just want to make sure this show doesn't go off the rails after such a promising beginning. However, consistency is key in these types of situations, so let's see if I have anything to be worried about as we look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers Episode 4, Digital Deception. The episode opens on Valentine's Day, where Ben and Betty are in charge of storing all the gifts the Rangers have gotten from their admirers. The two soon discover they accidentally let a bee into the base, and while they first try to kill it, they do end up running from the insect when it starts chasing them. While that's going on, Ravi visits the still comatose Roxy, and flashes back to this time last year when the two were still together. Funnily enough, Evil Roxy is also reminiscing about that day, since she shares the memories of her human counterpart, but without all those pesky emotions. Realizing she can use this to her advantage, Evil Roxy plans to exploit Ravi's feelings for her in the hope that the Blue Ranger can finally join their cause. In the city, Nate is seen picking out a bouquet of flowers a few feet from where Roxy teleports, and after she creates Dozertron, the villainess orders the monster to get the Ranger's attention. During the rampage, Nate's nearly killed, but when he gets to safety, he calls GB for help. Cut to the Riptide Gym, where Devin tries to offer Valentine's Day cookies to his teammates, but Ravi refuses the treat, saying he's not a fan of the holiday. Before Devin can question his friend, the Rangers are alerted about the disturbance and almost immediately arrive on the scene. After some witty banter, Dozertron summons Tronics, so Devin orders Ravi to take on the monster, while he and Zoe take the foot soldiers. As Ravi dodges the monster's blast, Roxy trips the Blue Ranger so she can complete the first phase of her plan.
Goodbye, Ranger!
No!
What's wrong? I was gonna smash him!
Let's go now!
Roxy? No, wait! Please!
I gotta give it to her. That was convincing. Ravi's left in complete shock before we get to the team being debriefed, where Commander Shaw questions why Dozertron wasn't trying to steal more effects. The commander also asks Nate what he was doing outside, and when he says he was running an errand, Shaw puts him on the buddy system. Shaw orders that Nate's not allowed to leave the base without someone to protect him because he's too important to the mission. Well, that's at least better than what Dr. K went through. When the commander leaves, Ravi goes back to thinking about Roxy, and even shows the team a photo of the couple at the fountain where they met. Ravi then asks Nate if he thinks they're still good in Evil Roxy since she saved him earlier, but the others say she might be up to something. Ravi goes to the fountain to sulk, but soon runs into Roxy, who assures him she's not a threat. The two then reminisce, revealing that Ravi met Roxy while he was training to be a cadet, and Roxy says she's been able to fight Evox's control for some time now. The Avatar adds that she can break free from Evox completely, using the same neural aligner that infected her with the virus before suddenly leaving. Ravi goes to Nate's lab to ask the scientist if a neural aligner could save Roxy, but the doc says it could take months to confirm any theory. Instead of taking the scientist's word, Ravi steals the piece of tech behind Nate's back, and it isn't until the next scene when Nate realizes it's missing. The other Rangers are convinced that Evil Roxy's behind all of this and try to figure out where Ravi went, with Zoe saying they should check the fountain in Ravi's picture. At the fountain, Ravi gives Evil Roxy the aligner and is immediately betrayed.
Roxy? What's happening?
You said you want us to be together. We will be. Once I infect you with Evox's virus.
What?
Well, that's unsettling. However, before Roxy can morph Ravi into an evil avatar, the other Rangers arrive on the scene to make the save. Evil Roxy sends Dozertron at the Rangers while she calls Scruzzle for help, with the other general demanding she grab the neural aligner before making her escape. Seeing this, the team morphs into action to take on Dozertron, and during the fight, Devin's left to deal with the Tronics while the other Rangers handle the monster. Devin finishes off the Tronics just in time as Scruzzle dispatches a Gigadrone, so the Red Ranger meets the bot in his Zord. Both battles end with the Rangers winning the day, but after the fight, we cut to Scruzzle talking to Evox. The general says that he can use the neural aligner to free Evox from confinement, adding that once the snake is free, he'll thank Scruzzle instead of Blaze and Roxy. Evox says he'll destroy Grid Battle Force as soon as he gets free. Meanwhile, at said base, Ravi visits real Roxy, sad that he couldn't save her today. The others cheer Ravi up by saying they can save Roxy by working together, and when they leave the room, Zoe's presented with a bouquet of flowers from her secret admirer. When Commander Shaw sees the flowers, she tells the Rangers about the other Valentine's Day gifts they've received, saying that Ben and Betty oversaw unloading them. Speaking of, Ben and Betty are still hard at work trying to catch the stray bee in giant flypaper, but they end up stuck when they try to swat the bee. The Rangers enter the hangar after Betty sees another bee, and the episode ends with both bees leaving through the open door, while the Rangers laugh at Ben and Betty's misfortune. This episode is excellent. Given how this show debuted a month late, I wonder if this episode was supposed to be released on Valentine's Day. I get a strong holiday vibe here, and not just because the episode is set on Valentine's Day. The fact that it is Valentine's Day is actually a plot point, since this is still a character-focused episode about Ravi and how he adjusts to the idea of evil Roxy running around. On this day, Ravi and Roxy would usually be celebrating the anniversary of when they first met. However, this year, not only are they broken up, but Roxy has also been put into a coma after being turned into an evil avatar by a menacing computer virus snake thing. You know, your typical bad day stuff. I also like how this happens right after the last episode, where Ravi saw evil Roxy unmorphed for the first time. I can see that incident playing a part, at least subconsciously, in why Ravi is so quick to trust the Avatar, even though she's a villain. It also helps that Chip Lynn is on the writing staff and is no stranger to villains turning to the side of good. Evil Roxy acts just like one of those characters when she's interacting with Ravi, and to be honest, I would believe it if she didn't come right out and say that she was going to use the Blue Ranger's feelings against him. However, because of that, I don't think the other Rangers would be so quick on the uptake here. I get them having a healthy suspicion of Roxy's intentions. After all, past Rangers have had that in similar situations, but for Zoe to just know what Roxy's plan was just because Ravi took the neural aligner is a little too convenient for me. Speaking of Zoe, I like how this episode plants the seeds for a Nate-Zoe relationship, which totally caught me off guard. I know we had that scene of them talking to each other in the last episode, but I had no clue that was supposed to lead to Nate wanting to date her. Heck, between this and Ravi and Roxy's situation, that means that Power Rangers can have more than one type of relationship drama in the same season.
Now I ask you, does anything feel better than an appropriate gasp?
Crazy concept, I know. Outside of the plot and relationship stuff, this episode also has a few minor details that I'll go ahead and touch on. Ben and Betty are decent enough here and serve the holiday theme, but the show needs to be careful to not overuse them just to get a cheap laugh at the end of every episode. Again, the two were fine this time around, they just didn't contribute that much to the episode overall, and I hope that doesn't turn into a trend. The villains, meanwhile, continue to stay strong, and I can only assume that Scruzzle's master plan is to transfer Evox's consciousness into a robot like Venjix from RPM. I'm also curious if the avatars will ever use their human memories again like Roxy did here, or if there's any more knowledge that would be useful in their victory. Overall, this is my favorite episode of the season so far. It continues to build on the dynamic between Ravi and Roxy while also introducing a separate relationship in the background. I'm impressed that Beast Morphers was able to get so much mileage out of Ravi and Roxy considering this is such an early episode, and even more impressed at how Roxy said all the right things to trick Ravi. It makes me wonder what'll happen if Roxy does have a change of heart later on, or if she's totally evil now and Ravi will have to be the one to take her down. Either way, I'm totally fine speculating right now and can't wait to see what happens next. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you.